Abandonware. You've more than likely heard this term before. However, I would wager many if not most of you have no idea what it even means. It is quite a simple concept actually. The definition provided by the Cambridge Dictionary is software that is no longer produced or supported by the company that originally made it. As you may already know, with this series I am aiming to talk about and share ways in which those of us who still value old gems can play and enjoy them even when their publishers make zero effort on their part. On today's episode, we dig not that deep into the vault and uncover X-Men Origins Wolverine.
This is not how this was supposed to go!
Wait, sorry, forgot to add the video game at the end of that. Whoops! Yeah, so back in 2009, cinemas across the world were graced by the burning trash fire that many consider the worst X-Men film Fox ever made, X-Men Origins Wolverine, a film whose script was written by none other than David Benioff. You might recognize him since he and D.B. Weiss went on to also ruin the last half of Game of Thrones, when they ran out of material and had to actually do their own writing. Yeah, Benioff really gave us a pretty good preview of what was to come with this film. However, you're not here to discuss cinema. I can make other videos for when that fancy strikes me. No, we're here to talk about a little something called a tie-in game. The 2000s were a golden age for movie tie-ins, where studios would buy the rights to make a video game based on, and that would release at the same time as a film. We don't see that as much nowadays with ballooning dev costs and dev times, but it used to be extremely common, even for films you wouldn't ever expect to have a video game attached back then. This was one of those games, but here's what matters. It was an awesome game, which shouldn't come as a surprise when you realize that the studio responsible were Raven Software. They made a couple games I really like, you know, just a few here and there. That was before Activision tragically sentenced them to eternity in the Call of Duty mines, to work and toil until the next yearly installment that they're responsible for comes along, or you know, the next shitty cosmetic pack for Warzone. How awesome was this game, you ask? It hurts me to think that this game is forever tarnished by association with the crap film with which it shares a name. This is, at least until the teased Insomniac game actually comes out, the definitive Wolverine experience in video game form. What, you don't believe me? How about I prove it to you? Those look sharp. You've heard this line memed to death by now. This game makes you feel like Batman. This game makes you feel like Spider-Man, etc, etc. Well, this game did come out a good few months before the first Arkham Asylum, which only makes its quality that much more impressive. The game drops you straight into the action. Quite literally, you fall out of a helicopter and dive bomb the first dude with a gun that you can see from hundreds of meters in the air. Yeah, that's a sick opening. What you will almost instantly notice before any of the gameplay depth is that there is blood and gore everywhere. Yeah, this Wolverine game came out with an 18+ rating, meaning that back when I bought it on the PS3, near launch in fact, I was finally gifted by the gods a single beautiful example of what Wolverine should actually play and fight like, long before we ever got Logan. You tear through enemies like adamantium through, well, everything. That's the point. So little Wolverine media outside the comics has the guts to just let the indestructible super sharp knives that sprout out of his hands cut a single damn thing. Well, if there's one thing this game doesn't lack, it's guts. Most of the time, they're outside your opponent's bodies, because you are equipped with a number of flourishes, combos, and finishers, my god, these finishers, which will brutally vivisect every single man, beast, or thing that stands in Logan's way. As you well know, he's the best at what he does, but what he does isn't very nice. Neither is what others do to him. This game, really mind-blowing for its time, includes a body damage system for Logan where the more damage you take, especially from explosions or high-caliber weapons, the more it will physically tear you apart. Logan can reach levels of damage so bad you can pretty much see his adamantium-coated skeleton shining in the lights. Again, it is so refreshing to see an X-Men game with the gonads to let Wolverine be as mature and gory as the source material can be. It ain't DMC, but damn is it fun. So yes, it's violent, but I really want to get to the real meat of the game, the combat. You see, in this game you actually have a pretty complete character action style kit. You get a dodge that when timed well can turn into a perfect dodge that slows down time. Oh right, and if you dodge directly into an enemy, you will vault them and then be able to unleash a specifically animated attack out of that action. You have a block that when timed right can deflect, yes, even projectiles, and also open up enemies for wonderfully animated counterattacks. Anyone who knows me knows that the moment you include a perfect dodge and a deflect, you've pretty much won me over for life. These mechanics feel as satisfying as they should, and immediately, even as a young DMC addicted boy, told me that there was depth to this game beneath its surface. However, it doesn't end there. You also have all manner of combos, mixing light and heavy attacks, including a launcher. Yes, a launcher, which lets you take the fight into the air and either continue shredding away at your enemies, or grabbing them and pile driving them back to earth for massive damage. Oh, you heard me right, there's a grab too. In a game where the devs have spread a bunch of gory and satisfying kill objects around every arena for you to toss enemies straight into, off cliffs, into tree branches impaling them there, into forklifts, running fans, electric outlets, even explosive barrels. Look, what I am telling you here is that there is such an insane variety of ways to tackle combat and deal with enemies that I have had fun every single time I have played through this game again. Just mixing up my moves to make each engagement look as cool as I can, to make them all actually look like something a comic book accurate Wolverine would do.
But wait! There's more!
More? How could there be more? Well, you see, when Ravensoft makes a game, they make it right. So on top of all of the above, you also have a move quite unique to Wolverine, a straight up lunge. Yup, you are given a tool for immediately closing ground to threats, which then leads into the ability to chain into a frenzied slash attack, one heavy devastating move, or even a flip into a throw. I don't often get to talk about combat to this degree, but oh my god, there are so many options, and they all look cool. They all have effort, they all even have specific interactions with certain enemy types.
Nani?
If any enemy in the game lunges at you first, either some dude with a machete or saber tooth, you can quickly lunge back and meet them in midair to counter. Large enemies like sentinels or wendigos? Yeah, that's what these ugly dudes are called. Lunge onto them between their attacks and you can mount them and stab the hell out of them. Just like Wolverine would do to those tin cans in that classic animated series from the 90s. This game set a standard for what it should be like to play as Wolverine. I still to this day have never seen, in video game form, a more satisfying version. Again, Insomniac game hasn't come out yet when I'm writing this script, but I will be quite disappointed if they don't have the balls Raven did to actually allow Wolverine to be violent. Last but not least, the aforementioned finishers. Most enemies Wolverine can grab and immediately initiate a finisher move on, where he will do one of multiple animations per enemy type, in which he will instantly dispatch them with the brutality only a dude with machete-sized knuckle dusters could really put on show. It also kinda makes sense. Most characters with long drawn-out animated finishers that continue to get shot while they do them kinda look goofy in other games. But this is Logan, the dude who can regenerate from being in the blast radius of a nuke. If anything, him taking time to brutalize an enemy mid-fight while others are just staring and crapping themselves, it's the most Logan thing he could do. Raven thought of that too. Sometimes after a finisher, other enemies will trip and stumble and back away from you in pure horror. I have been ranting and raving about this for a while. I know. It's just because I want you all to understand. This is what you play this game for if you go back to try it yourselves. This is the selling point. 90% of this game is combat. The other 10%? A few God of War style block pushing and climbing puzzles, and 2 single instances of stealth in the whole game. With unique animated stealth kills, cause Raven go hard. Somehow still a better story than the film. As you might have guessed, being a movie tie-in game, this follows a very similar narrative to that of the film. However, it's got a runtime of around 9 hours on average, which means that the devs got a bit creative and extended some of the sections, as well as adding completely new game-only parts to the story. Almost all of them are fun additions and feel like an improvement over the miserable train wreck that was the film. We've all heard, read, or seen this story in one way, shape, or form before. Wolverine is inducted into the Team X task force, in this adaptation along with his brother Victor Creed, aka Sabretooth, run by William Stryker. He does a bunch of murder with this team until he has the realization that...
Are we the baddies?
He then abandons the team, goes off to Canada to become a lumberjack with his out-of-nowhere girlfriend Kayla. Victor then comes, secretly at the request of Stryker, supposedly kills Kayla, beats the crap out of Logan, which makes him go back to Stryker, who offers him the adamantium upgrade through his Weapon X program. All hell breaks loose when Stryker tries to terminate Logan after the experiment and fails. Boom, set up for a revenge story where Logan hunts them all down and cuts a swath through an entire private army of bad guys in the process. Like I said, most Wolverine fans know a version of this. Unfortunately, the game does for the most part use the film's version, including the same characters, relationships, and overall goals. But the game does work a little to flesh it all out, as opposed to the film. Half the game is you actually fighting for Team X, doing a lot of shady crap in Africa at Stryker's direct orders, which does a better job making you see what kind of wholesale murder and chaos these superhumans were personally responsible for, and makes the attitude Logan holds towards the entire team and Stryker feel a bit more earned. It also provides some real context as to where Stryker got adamantium. As it turns out, that entire mission was simply a means of getting their hands on that hidden and protected resource. You also have 2 whole sections that offer totally new scenarios and characters. First, following some leads takes Logan to a Utah base run by Bolivar Trask, the comic book villain responsible for the creation of Sentinels. This allows you to actually fight some of the iconic rust buckets in the game, as well as one over-the-top Super Sentinel boss. This section is interesting and offers a nice change of scenery to the rest of the game, as well as giving you a bit more comic book stuff here and there, including an appearance by Mystique. The other expanded section is that the fight against Gambit is turned into an entire level, with Logan chasing him throughout the city and having to fight multiple other factions at the same time. It's not the most interesting addition, but it does mean that Gambit doesn't feel as flash in the pan as his appearance in the film did. You actually get to have quite a flashy fight against them. Raven, as they always do, did their best with this stinky pile of poop. They were still forced to follow the film, and that of course means we all know what waits for us at the very end. A fight with that Deadpool. Wait, is that Hugh Jackman? One of the few benefits of this being an Activision published game back in that era is that Activision almost always got the actual cast of the films they did tie-ins for to come and voice their own characters, as well as securing the rights for their likeness most of the time. Something they managed with a number of the actors in X-Men Origins Wolverine. Most importantly, of course, Hugh Jackman, who I think most people agree has always been a great casting for the role other than his height. This means that yes, you can listen to him grunt and scream at everything that so much as bumps into him for the entire runtime of the game.
Phase 1 complete. Phase 2 complete.
They did, however, also manage to get Liev Schreiber to come back and voice Victor, who I've always actually liked for the role, having enjoyed him in lots of things, most recently as the voice of Wilson Fisk in Into the Spider-Verse.
You took my family. Now, I'm gonna make sure you never see yours again.
Yeah, that's that guy. One of the funnier and maybe less exciting returning cast is will.i.am, as the voice of John Rafe. I don't have any personal problems with the guy, but my god, is his the weakest voice performance in this entire game for the few lines of dialogue he even gets.
Double tap to the chest, sir. Subject is dead.
Other than that, everyone is voiced by actual VAs. However, almost every character has retained their likeness to the film counterparts. Remember when games were actually complete? Those of you with eyes that are mostly functional may have noticed that I have been playing the entire time, not dressed as Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, but wearing the beloved classic outfit. You know, the one that most film studios until now haven't had the balls to use. I see you, Deadpool 3. Finally! Well, one aspect of the game that caught me by surprise back in the day is that you actually have a progression system, as well as unlockables. You can level up Logan through combat, as well as finding dog tags, which will unlock further combo chains and let you level up your damage, rage, health, and how many extra effects your big special moves have, such as your rage mode allowing you to heal even when taking damage. Alongside these direct gameplay progression features, the devs also included little collectible Wolverine action figures throughout levels, all of them wearing one of 3 iconic comic book outfits. My favorite, the classic outfit, Legendary Wolverine, and X-Force Wolverine. Once you find 2 of the same set, you unlock not the outfit, but a whole different little challenge stage where you have to fight a mirror Wolverine wearing the outfit that you want. Yeah, Ravensoft went so out of their way in the effort and love they put for this game, which might I remind you is a tie-in for one of the worst films ever made, that they even programmed an AI-controlled Logan for you to battle against, and he has access to every single one of your abilities and moves. Early on and when you're extremely underleveled, these can actually be pretty fun and challenging fights to play around in and learn your moves. Not to mention it will never not be cool to counter a lunging Wolverine with your own lunge, 2 angry dudes with adamantium claws just beating the crap out of each other. What's not to love? I know Spider-Man PS4 spoiled a lot of people with the crazy number of alternate outfits, but I still think that in a day and age where we pay for cosmetics and 90% of the games being sold, a system for you to unlock fan favorite outfits in the game should still be something that we all appreciate. So, this is what it feels like. Well folks, that's really all I want to say about this game. I think it's a must play for any Wolverine fans out there, but also just a fun enough game on its own due to the depth and spectacle of the combat on offer for a relatively short runtime that it's a pretty good recommend for just about anyone. Just like with the last game on the Abandonware Vault series, I will include a guide as well as links explaining how and where to get and play the game yourselves. So those of you interested, join the Discord and let's keep some of these Goldie oldies alive. I had relatively no trouble getting it to run, so neither should you, but I do need you all to remember these games are old, official support no longer exists, and most official patches have disappeared at the same time the games themselves were removed from digital stores. There is always a way. Whether you gotta go through other shady routes or maybe do a bit of emulation here or there, if you want to play these old games badly enough, where there's a will, there's a way. I am having quite the blast revisiting some of these Abandonware games from my own child and teen years, so you can bet I will keep this series going as long as I can think of and manage to find and run good games that I want to share and preserve the memory of. So yeah, like always, see you all in the next episode.